All right, let's get right into it. We've all seen the images of Shiva, right? The powerful yogi, the cosmic dancer, the fierce destroyer. But in this explainer, we're going to peel back all of those layers to find a truth that's actually way closer, much more personal, and honestly, infinitely more powerful. So let's just start with a really big idea right off the bat. What if Shiva was never a person to begin with? I mean, what if everything we thought we knew was just the surface level stuff? Not a god up in the sky, not some character in an ancient story, but something else entirely. And this really breaks it down. On one side, you have the common view, Shiva, part of the Hindu trinity, the destroyer making way for new creation. But on the other side, well, that's the more ancient Vedic truth. It says Shiva isn't a person, but a timeless energy, not just a destroyer, but the void itself, Shunya, the source of everything. So you see, it shifts from a god you worship to a state of being you can actually experience. So that's our jumping off point. We're going to explore this idea of Shiva not as a being, but as the fundamental energy of the universe, the primal void. The key word here is Shunya. Now, it translates to void or nothingness, but don't think of it as empty. It's more like pure potential. Imagine the silence before the Big Bang, the source code of all creation. The Vedas say this is the true essence of Shiva. Everything you see, nature, knowledge, life itself, it all springs from this incredible generative emptiness. So you might be wondering, if Shiva is this formless energy, how did we humans ever figure out how to tap into it? Well, that brings us to this amazing origin story, the story of the very first yogi. The legend goes that thousands of years ago, high up in the Himalayas on Mount Kailash, this mysterious yogi just appeared. No name, no backstory, he just sat down and became completely, utterly still. And for years, he just sat there, motionless. People came and went, totally baffled. But then, 7 sages arrived, and they got it. They sensed they were in the presence of something cosmic. So they waited, patiently. And finally, after all that time, the yogi opened his eyes. This was the Adiyogi, the first yogi, Shiva himself. And he didn't give them a religion, he gave them a science, the science of yoga, a technology for every single human to connect with that vast, universal energy inside themselves.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But how does this abstract energy translate into real-world wisdom? Well, the stories about Shiva aren't just myths. They're actually powerful metaphors for how to live, starting with one of his most famous features.
You've definitely seen pictures of Shiva as Neelkanth, right? The one with the blue throat. Ever wonder what that's all about? The story behind it is that when a deadly poison emerged that could destroy the whole universe, Shiva stepped up. He drank the poison. But here's the key. He didn't swallow it and let it destroy him, and he didn't spit it out to destroy the world. He held it in his throat, neutralizing it. And that right there, that's the lesson. Life is going to hand you poison. It's going to be sorrow, anger, betrayal. The teaching is to not let it consume you, but also not to spew it back out at the world. You learn to hold it, process it, and stay calm. And then there's this other powerful image, Shiva, meditating in the Shamashana, the cremation grounds. I mean, why would a being of such consciousness hang out in a place we associate with death? Because the cremation ground tells the ultimate truth. It's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you were, how much power, money, or ego you had, it all just turns to ash. Shiva's presence there is a reminder that to truly live, you have to make peace with mortality. Death isn't some final end, it's just a transition. And when you really get that, when you truly understand it, you can finally live a life that's free from the grip of your own ego. Now, let's turn that focus completely inward. Because the concept of Shiva also gives us this incredible blueprint for finding balance inside ourselves through a dance of masculine and feminine energies. This brings us to the form known as Ardhanarishwar. You've seen it, the depiction that is half male, half female. But this isn't just some symbolic statue. It's a map of a universal truth that applies to every single one of us. See, within every human being, no matter your gender, both of these fundamental energies exist. You can think of the masculine energy as structure and stability, logic, force. And the feminine energy? That's the flow, the creativity, the compassion. One is kind of like the bedrock, and the other is the river that flows over it.
And the goal isn't for one to overpower the other. The goal is to bring them together. When you find that perfect harmonious balance between these two energies inside of you, that's when a person becomes truly whole, truly complete. That beautiful union, that's what we call Shiva Shakti.
So, we've gone from a cosmic void to ancient wisdom to a map for inner balance. Now it's time for the final and honestly the most important piece of the puzzle, bringing it all home to you. So many of us have heard the chant, Om Namah Shivaya, and we usually think of it as a prayer, right? A call to some god out there. But after everything we've just talked about, what if it means something completely different? The next time you hear those words, think of it this way. It is not a call outward to a deity, it's a call inward. It's a vibration, a key, designed to awaken that timeless, limitless, powerful energy that's dormant inside of you right now. And that's the ultimate realization. Shiva isn't some story in a book or a statue in a temple. Shiva is an experience. It's that profound, silent, powerful potential that sits at the very core of your being. So the search for Shiva, it doesn't end at a temple. It begins and it ends right inside you.